distress.
Well, I mean, and not only the rookie, but everyone in the Minneapolis Police Department, with the exception of Derek Chauvin, know that that's not procedure. To keep a person in a prone position like that, have your knee on their neck for extended periods of time like that, that is not in training anywhere in the United States. So it is an uphill battle for him. I know they're trying to nitpick now around, was his knee an inch here or an inch there? I mean, so he's cherry picking the video right when the paramedics get there. He may probably shifted his position slightly. What about the other 9 minutes? I mean, we know what we're looking at here. And, he had his knee on the neck. Others had pressure on his back. He was in a prone position. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster, and that's exactly what happened.
And Chief Training Taylor, Coach Montgomery, I appreciate it. Thank you. More on the cause of death. Forensic scientist joins us to talk about that, and the defense's attempt to cast doubt on the medical testimony, which we saw today. Later, the high heat of the nation's pastime, baseball, threw Georgia in defense of the nation's life force voting. That and the political blowback ahead on 360.
Hello to the one person who's listening with me.
Anderson Cooper 360.
I am so tired, and I don't know if it's from the COVID vaccine or not.
Confident in your financial plan. Visit
I got it 3 days ago.
Our Confident Forever plan is possible with a CFP professional.
A CFP professional can help you build a complete financial plan. Visit Let's Make a Plan.
Should I check my broadcast or check my farm game? Let me check the broadcast and see what the sound is like. I didn't put the sound on the better sound they have available now because it takes more bandwidth, but let me check the sound.
You get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Claim your $75 credit when you post your first job at Indeed.com/promo.
Daryl's family uses Gain Flames now, so their laundry smells more amazing than ever.
Let's check the leaderboard.
Hey,
otherwise known as the
more Gain scent plus oxy%.
Is it still there?
Every Gain Flame.
What happens if they give 2 million at-risk seniors free COVID-19?
Let me see. Under feed?
Everything changes.
So yeah, the trending list is still there. Let me see if I'm on it.
Health insurance providers together to help those most in need. Because care changes everything.
Welcome to that magic realm.
Yes.
Here and there.
All right. Let me check the sound. What does the activity say? Randy Horton is live. All right. Let me check.
And rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the resilient. Introduce yourselves to
Sound is still bad. Should I try and turn on that setting that'll fix the sound? It's also, I don't have the sound. Whoa. It's the TV that's behind the computer. It's not. Wait. I'm gonna check Twitter. Sometimes it's because the phone is too close to the computer, and sometimes the sound is okay on Twitter.
changes lives.
All right, let me check the sound on Twitter.
Everywhere.
What stands behind the yard sign of an ADT home? It's your world, safer and more secure against the unknown.
Twitter.
With tested, trusted, 24/7 protection. This system will help you customize with video doorbells, indoor and outdoor cameras, locks and lights, carbon monoxide detection.
Which account am I on?
Protect now, pay later with $0 down and
Which account is this? All right, let me check.
Call 1-800-ADT.
Is it raining? I should check because I'm so tired.
Love the energy today. For loving the feeling and feeling the love. Fitness changes lives. ProForm is changing.
Yeah, the sound's not great. Let me try that setting and see if it. Let me try that setting. There's a setting for higher quality sound. Where's it at?
With Canva, designing anything is easy.
Graphics, sound, title.
With thousands of designers.
Where's the setting? Takeovers, settings. Where's the settings? Mic. More, under more. Let me check. Video effects. Mic cam. What does mic cam do? High quality mic. All right, I'll try it and see what happens.
with documents, with photographs. Connecting in real time means that we're having conversations that are rich.
Is it any better?
Now, closer relationships with
Hello, Let's Rock.
I can't.
I didn't hear any
Better
difference.
gift to give to my daughter and the generations that come after.
Bring your family a piece of life like never before. Get started for free at Ancestry.com.
Now I don't hear anything.
Which touched on with our legal law enforcement team, his testimony in the Derek Chauvin trial only sharpened the central clash between prosecution and defense over the cause of death of George Floyd. Prosecution seeking to persuade jurors that what they see on the video is what killed George Floyd, nothing more. That view, as you saw, was bolstered by the doctor who treated Floyd.
Get started for free at Ancestry.com.
And doctor,
Now I don't hear anything.
was your leading theory then for the cause of Mr. Floyd's cardiac arrest? Oxygen deficiency.
That was one of the more likely possibilities. I felt it at the time, based on the information I had, it was more likely than the other possibilities.
And doctor, is there another name for death by oxygen deficiency?
Asphyxia is commonly understood term.
Thank you, Dr. Langdon.
Now, there's more to be learned, however, than the ER physician can often uncover in the moment while struggling to stabilize a patient, which is why we're joined now by forensic scientist Thomas Koblinski of the John Jay College of Criminal Justice here in New York. Mr. Koblinski, based on what you know about George Floyd's death, do you agree with the doctor's testimony that cardiac arrest likely occurred because of asphyxia?
Yes, absolutely. I think what the ER doctor found was a very elevated carbon dioxide level, which is an indication of respiratory distress, insufficient oxygen getting to the brain and all other parts of the body. That would lead to asystole, which means flatlining. The electrical activity was nil, and that's why defibrillation was not even applied, because you can't defibrillate somebody who's in asystole. So I think that after working on him for 30 minutes and ruling out various possibilities, he concluded that it was due to hypoxia, which is a result of asphyxia. Asphyxia can come about for many different reasons, and that really is the crux of the matter. And so that's where we have to answer the question is, what led to the hypoxia? Was it due to the positional asphyxia? Was it a compression asphyxia? Was the airway blocked? And that is resolved in the autopsy report.
You've, I believe, looked at the autopsy report. Is that resolved?
Well, the autopsy report, as you know, goes through the body from head to toe, and it's this various abrasions and bruises to the face, to the shoulders, to the arms are described. They also describe problems that were of natural cause. In other words, Mr. Floyd had coronary artery disease. There was a narrowing of the vessels. He had hypertension. He had an enlarged heart. But, remember that a medical examiner also brings into the conclusion reports of the police and videotapes as well before any conclusion is reached. So it does look like the medical examiner agrees that it is asphyxia, although that was not the term used. The medical examiner used an expression about being subdued, restrained, and neck compression, and cardiopulmonary arrest. Now, that can happen for various reasons. So it's important in explaining the medical examiner's autopsy report to understand what happened to Mr. Floyd at the scene when the police were there trying to restrain him, using neck compression, the positioning that they put him in, the handcuffs to the back.
Right.
That's, as we said, it's a recipe for death.
Obviously, let me just say the defense obviously, cross-examined the ER doctor who treated Mr. Floyd, asking if drug use can cause hypoxia. He responded that fentanyl and methamphetamine could. Is that? I mean, how does that affect what may have happened?
Well, that's certainly something the defense is very interested in, because Mr. Floyd had a lethal dose, 11 nanograms per milliliter of blood, would be lethal for most people. But of course, when you're a drug abuser and you're using fentanyl, which is a very potent drug, you build up a tolerance. And from the appearance of Mr. Floyd at Cup Foods, he appeared to be breathing normally. He may have been a little, walking a little bit oddly, but he was certainly alive and breathing. So he was tolerant. Of course, you can overdose to an extent, even with tolerance, it can cause death. But fentanyl causes respiratory dysfunction, decreases respiration, it decreases the heart rate, it lowers blood pressure, it dilates blood vessels, but the main thing is it decreases respiration and can lead to hypoxia. And that's exactly what the defense wants to hear.
Lawrence Koblinski, I appreciate your time. A lot to still be learned, obviously. Appreciate it. There was more fallout today in the wake of Major League Baseball's decision to remove the All-Star game from Atlanta due to that new legislation in Georgia. The Democrats say restricts voting rights. Details on that when we continue.
Hello to the 15 of you.
This is what it feels like wearing regular shoes.
I'm
No
playing the
all-around
farm
support.
game
And this is what it's like wearing
on
Skechers
Up
Archie Fit
Live.
footwear. It's all the comfort and support you need. We're almost done here, Brooke. It's good to have support. Try Skechers Archie Fit footwear with
I'm checking on my
support.
Hi guys, check out this over here.
farm.
Tell me how you did.
Wait, what did that number
Get a
say?
little closer. That's
18.
insane.
That's a different car.
That's the same car. Yeah, that's before, that's after.
Oh, that's awesome.
Make it new with New Finish.
Let's see. Should I put a wish list here on this account
Oh, no, I thought I
for
just
the
ordered tacos.
Easter starry Easter
Sushi,
egg hunting?
fries,
Let's put a wish list up.
Tandoori chicken?
Some milk from the store and
And let me guess. Cookies?
Wow, be hungry.
Yeah. Here, I'll call some friends to help us eat.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Get more from your neighborhood. DoorDash. Hey, yo, Grover. You like ramen?
Hey, it's good.
Start the 60-second times 1.5 point buff for hosts.
the company we've
All
trusted to keep us
gifts
working
collected by the host within that 60-second has 0.1.5 gifts.
safely, securely, and responsibly. Let's start the meeting. So now,
Open the booster chest.
all of ours,
How do you start a 60-second times buff for host?
Cisco. The bridge.
But that costs 2,000 U's.
At Empower Retirement, we
All right,
help you
never
open doors
mind.
to get you ready for everything that lies
How
ahead.
about egg for wishes? Let's wish for something.
Behind every door is an opportunity to save for life's moments. These are your goals, and it's time to help get you there.
Click to draw. Wish record, draw record.
Meeting customers across America as they save for
Wish
the future
record.
they
Let's wish
We
for
are Empower Retirement.
no wishes.
We're ready
Wait,
to open some doors for you.
how do I make a list?
I've been on a diet for as long as I can remember.
I even cut out bread and pasta for a day.
They say it's based on a cognitive behavioral approach. I just say it works.
It just clicked.
Hidden gift? How do you find a hidden gift?
Noom.com and lose the weight for good.
It's time for a new season of
Frank
United Shades of
info.
America.
Egg for
You know
wishes.
we got
I don't
a lot
even
to
know
talk
where to
about.
wish for. Wish now?
New season
Okay,
of
wish
United
now.
Shades
Let's
of
try
America.
that.
With me, Debbie Coppell, premieres May
Why did they
2nd
start the
and
Easter egg game after Easter? Was it started
Show me
before?
Disney Plus.
I'm here on business. I need your help. I've been quested to bring this one back to its kind.
Now you can access exclusive Disney originals.
We are an unusual couple.
Click to generate wish list. Okay, let me check my
And stream
farm.
must-see Disney new releases.
People need this symbol. Where do we start?
Find the best in entertainment all in one place with Disney Plus now on Xfinity. A way better way to watch.
Reward.
At Gentle John Smith
Alright,
and
never
Storage,
mind that.
we
Let's try
believe
the farm.
every living truck is full of memories, hopes, and dreams. And that's how my
Claim.
dad approaches everything we do. From our trucks and equipment to employing the best movers in Oregon. Because we know these Oregon roads. With experience in over 100,000 moves. From Beaverton to Happy Valley, Eugene to Bend, and everywhere in between. And now we're ready to help make your next move the best you've ever made.
I'm so tired I can't even find the farm
For the perfect move within your
on this update. Where is the
This
farm?
CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Plant chest to win diamond. Let's
The
try
Republican
that.
governor of Texas was invited, as elected officials routinely are, to throw out the first pitch at this afternoon's home opener of the Texas Rangers. But Governor Greg Abbott declined and cited Major League Baseball's decision to remove its All-Star game from Atlanta, saying baseball has adopted what he called a false narrative about Georgia's new law that Democrats claim restricts voting rights. This is Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell also assailed baseball's decision, linking it to corporate statements like the ones from Georgia-based Delta Airlines and Coca-Cola, which also criticized the legislation. McConnell calls such actions as part of the, quote, outrage industrial complex, all of which puts a major American sport that usually avoids political controversy squarely in the middle of one. I want to get perspective now from CNN national correspondent and anchor of Inside Politics, John King, and CNN political analyst Tolu Olorunnipa, White House reporter for The Washington Post. So, John, I know two things you're passionate about, sports and politics. You've been a political reporter and a Red Sox fan, I imagine, for even longer than you've been a political reporter. So what do you make of this confrontation between the Merck's pastime and this new law in Georgia?
It's an evolution, continued evolution, and an escalation of sports getting involved in something for years Anderson had deliberately avoided, which is politics. You've seen this back in 2017 when the NBA pulled the All-Star game out of Charlotte because of the so-called quote-unquote bathroom law that it said penalized people who made the choice that they were transgender. We've seen just in the past year or so NASCAR getting involved as well about the Confederate flag. More and more sports is a business. Sports has a fan base. Sports responds to political pressure. Many sports are also urban focused, which is where most Major League Baseball teams are. Baseball was late. I believe it was the last major sports organization to issue a statement after the George Floyd killing. Then on its opening day last year in the COVID season, it put Black Lives Matter on the field and on the players' uniforms and the like. Major League Baseball has made this choice. And again, it's part of this evolution and escalation that you're seeing, where sports, which for years just decided we don't do politics, more and more involved in social justice and other political movements.
Tolu, it's an interesting time in corporate America where companies are being asked to take positions on things which in past years they really would have just tried to stay out of, focusing obviously on profits or pleasing as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The activists that are pushing against some of these bills realize that if you are going to make change, you have to hurt some of these lawmakers in their pocketbooks and their communities by having the tax revenue and the economic activity that would have come from a big event like an all-star game, having that taken out of Georgia. Now some of these lawmakers are starting to respond. So a number of these corporations, sports leagues are feeling the pressure from their constituents, from their fan bases, from activists, essentially telling them that they have to take a stand, especially when it comes to specific issues of civil rights, racial justice, economic rights for minorities, that they can't be silent anymore. And I think the killing of George Floyd last year really sparked even more of these corporations to take a stand. And it really seems like there's no turning back at this point because the activists have realized that this is the way to make change, because a lot of these lawmakers have not listened for several years to some of their cries. But they realize that if they are able to talk to some of these corporations and get them to make change, then you can see some of these sports leagues and some of these lawmakers have to respond as a result.
John, I mean, there are still a number of states considering new voting laws. How likely do you think it is that this action by Major League Baseball and others, Coke, Delta, and others, will actually lead to other states backing off those what Democrats consider restrictive measures?
I think the Democrats will certainly use it. Progressives will use it in those states to say, be careful where you go. Number one, we think this is wrong. But number two, consider the consequences. Look, timing is everything in politics. That's a cliche, but it's also true that we're having this conversation as the Derek Chauvin trial plays out. It was the killing of George Floyd that brought a lot of this to the bubbling point, if you will. It's been festering a long time, but it brought the water to a boiling point. So there will be people who say, think twice, think three times. But Anderson, there'll also be the flip side of that. A lot of Republicans and conservatives are on this quote-unquote cancel culture movement, if you will. You mentioned Governor Abbott at the top of the conversation, deciding, forget it, I'm not going to come throw out the first pitch. So there will be some who try to take advantage of the controversy to raise the quote-unquote cancel culture issues.
And I mean, Republicans in corporate America have enjoyed a close relationship for a very long time. You have now someone like Mitch McConnell, who's enjoyed the financial support of many in the corporate world, lashing out against corporations taking a stand against these voting laws.
Yeah, this is the outgrowth of former President Trump's presidency. He said that he was going to go against the elites and the corporations, even though he ended up giving them one of the biggest tax cuts in history. But he did campaign against them and said that he was for the working person and he was going to fight for the working man and woman against the corporations and the elites. And now you see other Republicans, including Mitch McConnell, including Marco Rubio, take that form of populism and try to use it to attack some of these corporations, which have been their political constituency for decades and decades. So we are seeing a shift in the political atmosphere, and it is not clear where things go next if these corporations start to align more with Democrats who want to raise their taxes, or whether or not they stick with some of the conservatives who want to protect them from some of the progressive policies when it comes to economics. But when it comes to social issues, it seems like the corporations are much more aligned with the left wing and some of the progressive causes when it comes to social justice, racial justice, and equality. So it really is a sort of a political hot potato with some of these corporations trying to decide where they're going to land.
Yeah. And John, one of the other things that the Minority Leader McConnell said in his broadside against corporations' objection to the Georgia law, he said, quote, a host of powerful people and institutions apparently think they stand to benefit from parroting this big lie. It's interesting that he is co-opting the phrase the big lie, which is normally used for the really big lie, which is the President Trump's big lie about the election.
Mitch McConnell, whether you like him or not, is very calculating. He does not just choose his words willy-nilly, if you will. He uses that on purpose to say, because the Democrats and because the media have used the term big lie, because Trump did perpetrate a big lie, and he perpetrated it for months, and it led to an insurrection in the Capitol. Look, Mitch McConnell has a point. Republicans have a point in that some Democrats have exaggerated the impact of the Georgia law. Some Democrats, including the President of the United States, Mr. Biden, have gotten some of the details wrong. But Bill Clinton used to have this old saying, Anderson, if you see a turtle on a fence post, it didn't get there by accident. We're not having this conversation by accident. Most of these laws in the states do restrict voting rights, and Republicans are pushing them. So there have been some exaggeration and hype about the Georgia law, but these conversations in more than 40 states are real.
John King, Tolu Oluniyipa, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Has the identity of Q, the person behind the extremist ideology QAnon, it's attracted followers with its bizarre and false conspiracy theories, has Q actually been discovered?
Who is it?
We'll talk with the filmmaker behind a fascinating new HBO documentary examining QAnon, about why he's convinced he solved the puzzle.
When a threat from fire and water damage is at its biggest, hand the cleanup over to the team that stays with you until even the smallest detail is taken care of. 1-800-CERTRA, the #1 choice in commercial cleanup and restoration.
It takes baby steps. Let's start by reducing hiring bias, training managers, and guaranteeing an equitable and inclusive workforce. Take your first step. Become a SHARE member today to get the tools you need.
10 years ago, we founded Home Depot because we were confident we could deliver the American dream of home ownership to individuals and families across the nation. There were only about 50 of us when we began.
But we were inspired every day to do our best for customers just like you.
And because of customers just like you, we've now grown to become one of the largest mortgage lenders in the nation.
Serving more than 27,000 customers a month, lowering payments, providing jobs, and investing in neighborhoods and communities nationwide.
The reason that we've grown from 50 founding employees with a dream to now team members 8,000 strong
is because we have never stopped believing in you. We know how important it is that everyone has opportunity.
We know what it means to put down roots and bring dreams to life.
At Home Depot, we know.
Home means everything. Hey Google, turn up the heat.
They killed her son, then Beulah May, in an all-white jury, took the Klan down. The People vs. the Klan, premieres Sunday at 9.
There are two ways to sell your house. The easiest way is selling it to Open Door. All you have to do is go to opendoor.com. Tell us a little bit about your house, and you'll get a competitive offer in just a few steps, so you can close on your timeline. Get your free offer at opendoor.com.
I came up with the idea that I did not want a denture in my mouth. I wanted something more permanent. After having my implants put in and having my teeth for the last 2 years, I've been able to now go out and be a lot more social without feeling bad about myself. I go out and I golf now. I go out and I visit with my friends more. We go out and have dinner. I'm vacationing a little bit now. The best investment I've ever made.
The best in dentistry, only at drlippy.com.
Selling your house is hard. Selling it to Open Door? That's easy. All you have to do is go to opendoor.com, and you'll get a competitive offer in just a few steps. So, what do you think? Well, I'm sold.
We're sold.
Get your free offer at opendoor.com.
I'm Jeff Zeleny at the White House, and this is CNN.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Herpes L. Treat, protect, and relieve. Do more for cold sores.
My cholesterol is borderline, so I take garlic to help maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally, and it's odor-free. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with garlic.
Over the weekend, HBO finished airing a documentary series called Into the Storm, looking into the origins and the followers of QAnon, the conspiracy-laden ideology that's attracted believers not only in this country but around the world. The leader of the bizarre online group is called simply Q, and his identity has long been a secret. But filmmaker Cullen Hoback, the man behind the documentary, seems convinced that he has solved the mystery. His evidence is this clip that aired during the series finale last night, in which Hoback interviews Ron Watkins, the longtime administrator of the QAnon message board called 8Ku.
8 what?
Ron hadn't just been participating in Q research. It sounded like he was leading it.
Yeah, so thinking back on it, it was basically 3 years of intelligence training, teaching normies how to do intelligence work. It's basically what I was doing anonymously before, but never as Q.
See that smile? Ron had slipped up. He knew it, and I knew it. And after 3 tireless years of cat and mouse, well...
Never as Q, I promise.
Never as
Q. Because I am not cute. It never was.
And Cullen Hoback joins me now. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I really was so fascinated by your documentary. I mean, your access, it's incredible how much time and how deep you got into this. For those who may be confused as to why that moment was so shocking, can you lay out briefly who this guy Ron Watkins is, what his role in the QAnon origin story is, and why that revelation from him was so important?
Sure, yeah. So the person I'm talking to is Ron Watkins, aka Code Monkey. He is someone who has been named in the Q drops, QAnon's drops. So there's a lot of lore around this character in the world of QAnon. He is also the admin of the site where Q posts. I had spent years playing cat and mouse with this character. I thought that it was possible that, he would know more about Q than anyone else because he posts on his site. And I had always been waiting for that moment where Ron slips up. And the first time it happened was a few months ago. And I think it happened as a result of the kind of super optimism, where he had just gotten away with it for so long. He wasn't really watching his words. And you can see in the clip that you just played, he actually breaks into a smile before I do, because he realized, I think, what had just happened. And I think you can kind of hear him muttering under his breath. And I just remember when Ron said that, I looked over afterwards. I looked over at my camera person. And I was just like, he just admitted he's Q. I couldn't, for me, it was just a mind blowing.
That's often one of those moments where you just pray that the camera person is actually rolling, that there is record was on and that everything actually has been saved. You said in the clip you've been talking to Watkins and his dad, Jim, for years. You both start laughing. What was going through your mind? I mean, did he say more about it later? I mean, he clearly, he continues to deny he was Q, right?
Teaching.
Well, he'll always deny that he's Q because I think he would be concerned about any of potential legal ramifications with it. But I also think that deep down he kind of wants the credit.
Yeah.
And I saw this at various moments along the way, where I think he would kind of give me nudges, sort of hint that he's behind it, but he can't really say it.
It's also so remarkable when there's all these people out there who, for one reason or another, for whatever in their lives has brought them to go down this rabbit hole, believe that Q is early on that he was a member of the Trump administration, that he was a high-level intelligence official with the special magical Q clearance, that, he had access to, and all the things that Q predicted was going to happen just never happened and was continually proven wrong. And yet these people still continued to believe and just came up with new explanations for why everything he said was wrong. The fact that it might be this guy, of course it's like somebody like this and not, some intelligence official somewhere.
Well, Ron Watkins has all of the motive, right? He's interested in quote unquote red pilling the masses, which is kind of getting his worldview out to people. He doesn't like the mainstream media, and he was trying to build an audience. And I think to some extent, he and his father are kind of interested in taking over the world. So, it checks out. But I would say that and you see this in the story, that even though Ron is, I believe, the linchpin in all of this, there is this broader network. And over time, as Q increased in power, we did see figures like General Flynn. You'll see another general who was seeding intel with some of the Q-tubers, these people who sort of preach the word of Q on YouTube and make sense of it to their followers. And you see that this group of ex-military actors are leveraging Q and hijacking the narrative for their own ends.
And so many of them are profiting off it. They're selling merchandise. They're selling, subscriptions or they're trying to gain viewers, just like every, teen influencer, on TikTok and everywhere else. It's extraordinary. Colin Hoback it's a fascinating documentary. I hope a lot of people watch it. It's really, really, really great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming next, what life is like when post-COVID normal life is both inches and miles away. We'll take you where vaccinations are surging, but so is the virus.
Hi guys, check out this out right here. What did you do?
Tell me how you did it.
Yeah. Get a little closer. That's insane.
That's a different car.
That's the same car. No. Yeah, that's before, that's after. Oh, that's awesome.
Make it new with New Finish. It doesn't happen often. Everyday people taking on the corporate special interests and winning. But now, the Fourth of People Act stands on the brink of becoming law, ensuring accurate elections, ironclad ethics rules to crack down on political self-dealing, a ban on dark money, and finally reducing corporate money in our politics to restore our faith in government. Because it's time for the people to win.
This is Joe. He used to have bad breath. Now he uses a capful of TheraBreath Fresh Breath Oral Rinse to keep his breath smelling great all day long. TheraBreath. It's a better mouthwash at Walmart, Target, and other home stores.
I'm Mariceli, and I am a real Premier Protein fan. I started my health journey at 41. I didn't realize 40 was so life-changing. For me, it was like a new beginning. The taste of Premier Protein helps me not feel deprived from sweets. I drink it every day. I cook with Premier Protein. That's my thing. I love it.
With 30 grams of protein, 1 gram
Okay, I'm going to make one more set of wishes for that game.
Too good to be good.
What stands behind the yard sign of an ADT home? It's your world, safer and more secure against the unknown and unimagined. With tested, trusted, 24/7 protection and a system we help you customers with video doorbells, indoor and outdoor cameras,
Two.
carbon monoxide detection, and
Water
fire
now.
alarms.
Thank
Protect
and
now
follow.
later with 0 down and 100% real protection. Call 1-800-ADT-ASAP.
Babbel, a language learning program developed by over 100 language specialists. Babbel teaches real-life conversations in Spanish, French, Russian, and more. Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons are available as an app or online at Babbel.com.
CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist-recommended heart health supplement for people taking cholesterol-lowering statin drugs. I recommend Cunol CoQ10 because it has 3 times better absorption than regular CoQ10. Cunol is the brand I trust.
When news happens anywhere in the world, CNN is there.
The crackdown inside Belarus has significantly worsened. Do you know who these children are? Have you seen them before?
We were looking for the lost Uyghur children of Xinjiang.
What brought you to the clinic here today? This is part of a campaign against the women of Tigray.
Another brutal day for Brazil. More than 3,000 deaths from the virus. People feel.
All right, who wants a rose gift in this game? Any of you 30 people who don't play this game?
This reporting.
It was really hard to try to eat anything. Apples,
I have another rose.
steak,
Who wants it?
and I started getting infections.
Maybe I should give it to
in those
Bob.
teeth. That was a
If I
big
can find his
impact on
name
my
in this list.
I am a smiling person.
There's his
and I
name,
like
Bob.
to meet people and
All
smile
right.
at them.
What about Bob?
Yeah,
Who else wants a
and
rose? I have
smile.
one more.
I knew by Dr. Lampy I'd be taken care of with my new teeth. I am a brand new suit.
We drive everywhere to help our son reach his dream of becoming an elite swimmer. So we
All
enrolled
right,
in
do
a
I have
drive
200? How much do I need to buy this? 2 million?
It gives us discounts for safe
How many
driving,
zeros is this? 1, 2,
which comes in
3,
handy.
2 million, and I
No
only have
matter what.
768,000. So I guess I'll buy the chicken I already have
And get closer to your
for the
dreams.
farm.
American Family
Let me check this.
Insure carefully, dream fearlessly.
I could upgrade for 400,000. I have that, and I have 6 boards. Upgraded successfully.
COVID vaccinations are up nationwide, more than 3 million doses a day for 4 days now. However, in a number of states, case counts are spiking as well. Infectious disease experts blame the spread of COVID variants. Today, the CDC said that one particularly virulent strain has now been detected in all 50 states. Some experts, and certainly not all, believe there may be worse to come.
Just look at states like Michigan and Minnesota, where you have high levels of vaccination relative to the rest of the country, and already you're seeing the surge. While vaccination is important, it is obviously a critical part of our long-term game plan. We're not going to have enough vaccine at the way we're going into the arms of enough Americans over the course of the next 6 to 10 weeks with this surge that we're going to stop it. It's just simply not going to happen.
Well, Miguel Marquez now has a closer look at Michigan and what may be the latest front line in the battle against COVID.
How are you?
Fred Romankowitz was on his way to get vaccinated.
I was going there and I didn't feel right.
He got a COVID-19 test instead. It was positive.
You were right at the finish line. There was a lot of emotional baggage that went with that.
He says he got it from his 19-year-old son, Andy. His wife, Betsy, was fully vaccinated with the Moderna vaccine. She, too, got COVID-19 with only minor symptoms. The virus hammered Fred, 54 years old, and no underlying conditions.
I felt like I went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. I was absolutely physically exhausted. I mean, I felt like I had been beat up. I had felt like I had been in a car accident. I mean, it was crazy.
Tina Catrone thinks her son's soccer club brought the coronavirus into her home.
Even though we're all masked up, we're on the sidelines, everyone's yelling.
Her boys, Levi and Jesse, got it with no symptoms. Her husband, Jason, got a bad case. Hers was worse.
They said, yeah, you have pneumonia caused from COVID, so we're going to admit you. And here I am.
How surprised are you to be in this bed?
Oh, very shocked.
The 44-year-old mother of two with no underlying conditions, outdoorsy, active, never sick, adhered to coronavirus guidelines, never thought she would get COVID or that it would hit her this hard.
It's weird. It's almost like you feel like you're suffocating a little bit. I don't know. It's hard to explain. You get really lightheaded, and you're just like, ooh, clammy.
2 cases of thousands in the Wolverine state, now in its 3rd coronavirus surge.
We're not to where we were back in November, December, but I would say that the rate of increase seems more drastic than it did back then.
At Lansing's Sparrow Health System, COVID-19 admissions have risen 600% in a month.
So we're trying to see where we can pull extra staff from.
The hospital had disbanded its COVID incident command center with cases piling up. They've reestablished it.
December, we had a high of close to 150 patients. Right now, we have 95. And at the rate it's going, if it doesn't abate, we'll be at 150 patients in 15 days.
15 days?
Yes.
Do you know where the top of the
We do not know where the top of the curve is.
Yeah. Dr. Justin Skrzynski specializes in caring for patients with COVID at Beaumont Health Royal Oak, part of the largest healthcare system in Michigan. COVID tests of some patients sent for DNA analysis indicate a worrying sign. A sharp increase in the new, more contagious, possibly more lethal B.1.1.7 variant.
Right now, the regular COVID test we do, that's still just showing COVID, no COVID. But we do send a lot of those out to the state, and we're seeing something like 40% of our patients now B.1.1.7.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so big percent.
As older Michiganders and those with underlying conditions get vaccinated, hospitalizations for them have plummeted. Now the hospitalized, typically younger and healthier.
Each surge has brought different challenges, and when we addressed them, we felt very strong that we had this disease under attack, but then we get thrown a curveball.
For healthcare workers, exhausting year getting longer.
The first day I came in and saw that our unit was full of COVID patients again, it was really difficult. I had tears in my eyes.
22 years a registered nurse.
Yes.
How hard has the last year been?
Harder.
Why?
People are dying. I'm sorry.
Why is this so hard to talk about?
Because I just saw it yesterday.
What did you see?
I had a patient that passed.
The weight of so much sickness and death, that burden getting only heavier.
It is so difficult to speak to those healthcare professionals who have been out there day after day for the last year. Those 2 last nurses that you heard from, they both got COVID during the last year. So not only is the stress physical and mental, but it's to their health as well. Many of the nurses that we spoke to also got coronavirus. That last nurse you heard from, she said she wants a normal day. She just wants to come in and work with somebody who's getting over gallbladder surgery. Anderson?
Miguel Marquez, appreciate it. Thanks very much. Coming up next, the latest attempt by Congressman Matt Gaetz to clear his name about the allegations involving sex trafficking.
Yeah, good luck with that, Matt Gaetz.
Fact! Everybody gets stuck sometimes.
My tax situation's pretty complicated. TaxAct CPAs and experts are now on call 7 days a week, and they'll help you maximize your refund. File for less and get more with TaxAct.
Grubhub Perks give you deals on all the food that makes you boogie. Get the food you love with Perks from Love What You Love.
Calling all builders, all welders and roofers, engineers and electricians. Calling all brick masons and boiler makers and steel workers and steam fitters. Your country is calling you to rebuild America, to create a cleaner, safer, more prosperous future for all. Tackling climate change, this is the job of our lifetime. It's time to build back better. Let's get to work.
You been training since you got back?
Does fighting gangsters count?
We're gonna shop in monastery for 3 years.
This guy's eligible, obviously, in jail.
Very nice looking couple.
No, we're not. I live those stuff.
Get your young arm by yourself.
You basically walked on air.
Use Physics. New series this Wednesday at 8/7 Central, only on the CW.
When knee pain stops you in your tracks and you need relief to keep you moving, introducing CopperFit Ice, the world's first compression sleeve to include the healing sensation of menthol and the energizing properties of CoQ10. These micro-encapsulated ingredients are infused into the compression fabric and are released and absorbed by your movement. The more you move, the more CopperFit Ice delivers.
This is exactly what I'm looking for. I love the menthol aroma. It's very subtle. That menthol aroma feels like it's working.
I love CopperFit because it works. I used to feel my knees starting to talk to me. The knee says, it might be ready to want to retire, and I'm going to keep going a long time longer.
Our most advanced copper-infused compression sleeve yet, in a breathable circular knit with more support for all day.
All right, I'm going back and checking the other account. What time is it? 9:59.
I'm wearing CopperFit knee sleeves because
log into another account,
and I need that.
The cooling sensation of menthol and the energizing properties of
let me check this game.
Activated by motion to keep you in motion.
The more
I
move,
it
feels better and better.
Let's check
I haven't
the
experienced anything like this.
When you put it on,
live broadcast.
Compression. It's great to find something that actually works.
My live broadcast.
I haven't felt this good in years. You can ask for anything better than that.
The all-new CopperFit Ice, the most comfortable, seamless compression sleeve you will ever
let's
wear.
check the farm.
Guaranteed or your money back. Get your CopperFit Ice knee sleeve online now at copperfitice.com or call 1-800-708-0631.
When does this game end?
Order right now and your shipping is free.
You get this one body, you got to take care of it.
If something works, it works, and I want to stick with it.
Sometimes you come to the conclusion that you just can't work out as much anymore. But if you find the right support, you can continue, and that's what CopperFit has made me realize.
Experience the new CopperFit Ice motion-activated compression sleeves. Feel the power of CopperFit.
Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz is trying to put out more fires and save his career tonight, this time with an editorial defending himself against a federal investigation into allegations involving sex trafficking and prostitution, including allegations involving a minor. He writes in the Washington Examiner, quote, "First, I have never ever paid for sex, and second, I, as an adult man, have not slept with a 17-year-old. He also writes, quote, "And no, I am absolutely not resigning." Later, he writes this, "My personal life is and always has been conducted on my own time and my own dime." Sources tell CNN that investigators are pursuing allegations that Gaetz may have used cash and drugs in his dealings with young women. Also, that they have looked at whether any federal campaign money was involved in paying for travel and expenses. This new editorial comes the same day that Gaetz added a new attorney to his defense team, John Lauro, who has significant experience in white-collar cases. News continues right now. I'll hand it over to Chris for Cuomo Prime Time. Chris?
Coop, good to see you. I hope you had a good Easter. We have a key player in the Gaetz situation tonight, so people are going to want to see that. Always good to see you. I am Chris Cuomo. Welcome to Prime Time. Whether you celebrated Easter or not, may the seasonal promise of rebirth and renewal fuel better days for all of us. Now, I was supposed to be off tonight, but we were able to bring you something special, and it is critical to a big story. In fact, both big stories that we're following in the news tonight, the George Floyd murder trial and the scandal surrounding Congressman Matt Gaetz, offer very rare and surprising aspects today. Gaetz, as you heard Coop say, wrote an opinion piece denying he's paid for sex, denying he's slept with a minor as an adult himself, and vowing to stay in office. While he was busy invoking drain the swamp language and playing the victim of the media, including me, what was very surprising is what he barely mentioned: the extortion plot against him. He said that was what this situation is really all about. Tonight, you may learn why he's gone quiet.
Did he make it up?
The extortion case. In a TV exclusive, we have the man accused by Congressman Gaetz of extortion. That man's name is Bob Kent, and he tells a very different story about his dealings with the Gaetz family and about how serious the allegations are against the representative. That's coming up, and you will want to hear what he says. But first, we already saw and heard something shocking today, and it happened in the George Floyd murder trial. The accused, former officer Derek Chauvin's own former boss, the Minneapolis police chief, the man who fired Chauvin and 3 other officers the day after Floyd's death, actually took the stand and called their actions completely wrong and illegal. In a moment that I've never seen by another top cop in a trial, he refused to give Chauvin any cover for the 9.5 minutes Floyd lay dying under his knee. The chief testified Chauvin absolutely, that's his word, violated the department's neck restraint policy, and he called what we have all seen on that tape
Murder.
murder.
Once there was no longer any resistance, and clearly when Mr. Floyd was no longer responsive and even motionless, to continue to apply that level of force to a person proned out, handcuffed behind their back, that in no way, shape, or form is anything that is by policy, it is not part of our training, and it is certainly not part of our ethics or our values.
How big was that for the prosecution? How will the defense deal with it? We'll take that up. We also got the first real look at what this case could come down to, which is the science. Prosecutors are trying to get a jump on any doubts by calling an ER doctor to the stand who worked on Floyd and got briefed by paramedics when they brought him in.
Did they say to you, for purposes of caring or giving treatment to Mr. Floyd, that they felt he had suffered a drug overdose?
Not in the information they gave, no.
Did they tell you in the information they gave that they felt that Mr. Floyd had a heart attack?
No.
The takeaway there is not an overdose, says that doctor, and not a heart attack. That's also key because a heart attack can happen when there's a blockage problem around the heart, which the defense may argue. Now, here's what the doctor found instead.
There was no obvious significant external trauma that would have suggested that he suffered anything that could produce bleeding sufficient to lead to a cardiac arrest. And so, based on the history that was available to me, I felt that hypoxia was one of the more likely possibilities.
And hypoxia as an explanation for his cardiac arrest, meaning oxygen insufficiency.
Correct.
And doctor, is there another name for death by oxygen deficiency?
Asphyxia.
Lack of oxygen, says the doctor, who declared George Floyd dead. Or as Floyd put it so many times, I can't breathe. Let's turn to the law enforcement and policing specialists, the better minds, Elliot Williams and Anthony Barksdale. Good to have you both. Elliot, how big a deal for the prosecution is it to have the chief of police saying it wasn't right, it was illegal, it was murder?
That's big.
Chris, even starting with the fact that the chief of police is even testifying in the first place is itself significant. Very rarely does someone at that level of the police force ever testify in a criminal trial. So number one, that's profound. And then, of course, the fact that he laid out what the standards and policies were for the Minneapolis Police Department and so that they were clearly violated is itself significant. Now, Chris, as you and I have talked about, this is early. The defense still has to present their case, and we're just seeing the prosecution's case here. But I have a hard time believing that the defense could at any point put forward a witness as certainly not the chief of police or a witness of that level of stature. So this was big. We never know how these things are going to come out, but that was incredibly credible, incredibly believable testimony today.
One of the attempts of pushback will almost certainly be, look, they had to do this. The way George Floyd was, they had to use force to actually de-escalate. The prosecutors anticipated that, and the chief took it on. Listen.
Sometimes de-escalation, again, includes the use of force, right? The use of force can be a de-escalation tactic.
Yeah, I was thinking of your example of displaying your weapon, and so I don't have a lot of knowledge in terms of physical force being used to actually de-escalate a situation, but the threatening use of force or threatening verbally. I'm more familiar with that.
See, that was the defense trying to say maybe they had to do this. The chief gave them no help. Significance, Ellie.
Well, it's the question that didn't show up there at the very, very end. The prosecution comes back on redirect and says, well, look, yes, sometimes you need to escalate to de-escalate, but you actually have to be safe, right? And so
Are the sirens on the TV?
So a police officer can't escalate a situation without actually paying attention to the safety of the circumstances around them. So, for instance, one of the examples they used today was you might pull out a gun, which is itself an act of escalation, but you're not going to fire it at the person as a means of just making everybody safe. You might use a neck restraint, but you're also not going to use it to a point that you put the person's own life in danger. So it was a poorly used analogy by the defense, and the prosecution exploited it when they had a chance to come back and clean it up.
You've gotten several head nods from a man who knows the job very well at the highest level. Former acting police commissioner in Baltimore, Anthony Barksdale. Always a pleasure to see you, sir. Seeing the chief on the stand, is that something that you can ever remember seeing in something of this magnitude?
Chris, I'm saluting the chief. His testimony was magnificent. The prosecution is guiding their ship very well. The defense, I think they need to look for a plea deal. I really do. The effort to try to make the chief appear that he doesn't know the street, doesn't know the job, it backfired today.
Now, on the medical side, Commissioner, I wanted your take on this. Obviously, the prosecutor is worried that there will be doubt spread that Floyd was not as strong inside as he appeared to be outside. And they had an ER doctor there, and they were really trying to get to this idea of what could have killed him, what would have made his heart react the way it did in this situation. Let me play a piece of sound about this.
Was there anything that you looked at to determine whether or not the cardiac arrest was likely or unlikely to be related to Mr. Floyd having had a heart attack?
A lot of that is based on the history that we received from paramedics. There was no report that, for example, the patient who complained of chest pain or was clutching his chest at any point or having any other symptoms to suggest a heart attack, that information was absent.
Commissioner, the ER doctor left open, rightly so, the door a couple of times on the idea of information I was presented with, information I knew at the time. Do you believe the defense has an opportunity there to say, but if you had known that his heart was like this, and if you had known that he had all these things in his system, might you have felt otherwise about it?
Chris, we could guess at that, but what we do know is that Chauvin kept his knee on the man's neck. That's what we know. Let's use the body cams. You and I talked about this before. The body cam is a wonderful tool. Let's look at what we all saw on that body cam. So they can try to play the shell game and say, oh, this caused it or that caused it. But I am a firm believer that it was the knee on the neck for 9 that caused Mr. Floyd's death.
So if the officers respond, Commissioner, we had to. Excited delirium. They teach us about this. The drugs made him almost superhuman. He was going into a state where it took all of us just to keep him calm.
Chris, they got handcuffs on him. Handcuffs. When you're cuffed, it's over. If they wanted to move to hobble him, then so be it. Get the leg shackles there, hobble him. But that's not what happened. When he is cuffed, when the suspect is cuffed, you have won. All he had to do, if they couldn't control him at that point, is hit that radio, say, Sarge, we need you up here. Can I get more units up here? That's it. These excuses, these games that they're playing, I'm sick of them. Let's get this trial done. Let's get this conviction.
One of the officers mentions excited delirium. He was a more junior officer, Elliot. You do a little homework on it. You get the Brooks Institution. The Brooks Institution did an analysis and said that the idea of excited delirium has been disproportionately applied to black people, first used in 1985 to explain a series of sudden deaths in cocaine users, while primarily in police custody. What is the force of it?
Well, again, the only
Commissioner, let me get Elliot. You get last word. Go ahead.
well, the only people who seem to be believing that are the defendants here, or at least the defendant here. Every single individual who, eyewitness testimony is inherently unreliable, but every single eyewitness, now you have how many, I think 21 people have testified in total in this trial, not all of them eyewitnesses, but every one of them is saying remarkably the same thing. And no one is seeing this question of excited delirium. So yes, the defense ought to put forward their best case to the extent they can, but it's flying in the face of reason. This is, as the commissioner is saying, every individual who's testifying is saying pretty much exactly the same thing. And all of these failures to care for Floyd, all of these questions about his condition, they're going to weigh on the reasonableness, which, as we talked about, Chris, is the legal term here. It's were the actions reasonable? And the mere fact that it's clear that the officer's conduct, or at least it's appearing that the officer's conduct, is so outside the bounds of reasonableness, starting with the commissioner's testimony and on through, it's just hard to see how the defense is going to overcome that. Again, they just have to win over one juror, but it's hard to see it from here right now.
Commissioner, last quick word to you.
Excited delirium. We started training for that in the 90s here in Baltimore. If somebody's complaining and they're cuffed, you sit them up. You get them up so they can breathe. It was clearly excessive force, and they did not do the right things in this horrible, horrific incident.
Elliot Williams, thank you as always. Commissioner Barksdale, always a pleasure. Good to see you. The best for the season.
Chris, thank you.
Be well, both. All right. The Matt Gaetz scandal has been so bizarre and, until now, confusing. Who is Bob Kent? Who is the man accused by Gaetz as being the real wrongdoer here? Remember, that's what Gaetz was telling you. Not so much in his op-ed today. Really, you got to focus on this guy. It's not me. It's really about him. So here he is. Why is he going on TV if he's in so much trouble? What's his deal? Where did he learn all these details about what Gaetz may really be facing? His first TV interview. Next.
84% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. Truebill helps you save money by finding recurring charges, notifying you when they're due, and easily canceling unwanted subscriptions. Download Truebill and take control of your money.
Struggling to manage my type 2 diabetes was knocking me out of my zone, but lowering my A1C with once weekly Ozempic helped me get back in. My zone, lowering my A1C and losing some weight. Now, back to the show.
Ozempic is proven to lower A1C. Most people who took Ozempic reached an A1C under 7 and maintained it. And you may lose weight. Adults lost on average up to 12 pounds. Ozempic isn't for people with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Don't share needles or pens or reuse needles. Don't take Ozempic if you or your family ever had medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2 or if allergic to it. Stop Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase low blood sugar risk. Side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
Once weekly Ozempic helped me get in my type 2 diabetes zone. Ask your healthcare provider how it can help you get in yours.
You may pay as little as $25.
All right, I'm logging out of this account.
I spent months looking for a job.
I'm checking my game on the other account.
This helped me deal with that frustration.
And
things changed when I tried ZipRecruiter because it works like a free personal recruiter. ZipRecruiter sent me great jobs.
I wonder where people are watching, because nobody's commenting in here today, but it says there's 45 viewers.
I started a new job last week. This
Still helps. Go to ZipRecruiter.com and put ZipRecruiter to work for you.
This is Kate. She always wanted her smile to shine. Now she uses a capful of TheraBreath Healthy Smile Oral Rinse to give her the healthy, sparkly smile she always wanted. TheraBreath. It's a better mouthwash at Walmart, Target, and other fine stores.
Think about what you could think about when you're not thinking about weeds.
Aliens are real, all right. There's just too much evidence. But ghosts, not so much. I mean, where's the proof? Show me the data.
How do normal people get the Coca-Cola out of the bottom of the can?
Kill weeds, nothing lawn with Roundup for Lawns products.
10 years ago, we got a Loan Depot because we were confident we could deliver.
All right. What time did I take my allergy medicine yesterday? I should check.
Serving more than 27,000 customers a month, lowering payments, providing jobs, and investing in neighborhoods and communities nationwide.
We know what it means to put down roots and bring dreams to life.
At Loan Depot, we know.
Home means everything.
I look for the WELL Health Safety Seal at my favorite places.
It means health and safety measures have met rigorous scientific standards.
Look for the WELL Seal.
Look for the WELL Health Safety Seal outside and feel safer going inside.
To continue with my business and at the same time to be able to improve myself. I was like, okay, I'm on board.
On Coursera, you can earn a career-advancing bachelor's degree online from a world-class university. Courses, certificates, degrees. Join for free at Coursera.org.
We have a Cuomo Primetime exclusive for you now. An insider in the Matt Gaetz story talking for the first time on television. A man who had details of the sex crime investigation that still aren't public and told the Gaetz family before any of it had made the news. He's also the guy that Congressman now says was extorting his family. Bob Kent. Who is he? He's a former Air Force intel officer. He says he's risking his own career that depends on him flying below the radar by even putting his name in the middle of this, but he has nothing to hide. Let's get after it. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let's just take it head on. Do you believe that Mr. Gaetz would give you money for your cause in finding Bob Levinson because he thought you could fix the case against his son?
No, when I met with Mr. Gaetz, he was very clear that he was not interested in funding the project, but he did offer to have his son contact the president's office for us.
And when he said to you, we get extortion attempts like this all the time, do you believe that Gaetz believed that you were threatening him with details of what you knew that would be exposed if he didn't help you?
No, because I didn't have any details about his son. I stopped him immediately and explained that this was not an extortion attempt. And I said, look, this is a legitimate offer to help rescue Robert Levinson. I showed him the 2 videos that I took last summer, or that my team took last summer of Robert Levinson. I explained how we tried to rescue him in July. And said, look, I said that operation fell apart. I lost 4 people. I said we had no budget, but we believe there's an opportunity to get him out from the top down this time, but it would cost quite a bit of money.
Now, you put a lot of this in writing, which would have been very dumb, especially for somebody with an intelligence background if you were trying to extort. You say the FBI has contacted. Have they made it known to you that you are under investigation for extortion?
They have not. They brought me in to discuss the situation, and I'm cooperating.
When you say the situation, what situation?
They asked me about the meeting that I had with Don Gaetz.
Did they also ask you about what you knew about the congressman and his behavior?
They did. And I told them the same thing I told you. I just heard rumors about the congressman. I didn't have any specifics about his behavior. I hadn't seen any videos about him or pictures about him. But I did hear rumors about his activities.
I'll ask you about that in a second. Let's go to the direct proof here so you can explain it. Mr. Gaetz, text message from you. I would like to talk with you immediately about the current federal investigation and the indictment that is about to be filed against your son. I have a plan that can make his future legal and political problems go away. You sent that text message?
I did, yes.
Why did you put it that way? That there was an indictment about to be filed against his son, and why did you tee up the legal problems?
Matt Gaetz was in need of, or is, if the allegations are true, he's in need of some goodwill from the government. I'm in need of a sponsor to fund the rescue project.
Saying the indictment that is about to be filed, what if people take that to be an implied threat?
There is no threat. I don't have anything to do with the indictment. I don't have anything to do with the investigation into Matt Gaetz.
What was your point in telling Gaetz' father about what you had heard about the trouble that his son was in? You could have just went to him and said, "Help Bob Levinson. If we find him, it'll be good for your son." You could have left it at that. You didn't. How come, Mr. Kent?
I wanted to meet with Matt Gaetz. Believe that he had the ability to raise the money quickly. And yes, I did put that in there as a teaser because, as I said, Mr. Gaetz was in need of some goodwill. And we've worked with multiple people over the years, and all of them have been in similar situations. I mean, a lot of them have been, facing indictments or all looking for goodwill from the U.S. government.
One of the things that you have circumstantially, without getting too in the weeds, going against you is that one of the guys who you were working with on this and approaching the Gaetz has a criminal record for being a fraudster. Why would you be associating with somebody like that?
So I was contacted by David McGee in October, and he asked me to meet with somebody, with Stephen Alford, because Alford wanted to help with Levinson and believed that he can get him out. Now, after the rescue attempt fell apart in July, I had no contact with Dave after that. I said, sorry, it didn't work out. We went forward. He wished me, best of luck in my future endeavors. And then when he contacted me in October, he asked me, is it possible to rescue, is Levinson still alive, and is it possible to rescue him? So I went back to the network and I asked the question, and they said, yes, we think he may be alive, but can't do it the way you did it last time. You have to go from the top down this time. So, and when Dave vouched for Stephen, that was good enough for me. I've worked with Dave for a long time.
Now, I know, Mr. Kent, that you find some of these questions frustrating, but you do understand Gaetz has put you in a pickle here because he has taken the situation of your soliciting help with the father as the indication of what the scandal really is here, that people are missing the ball. It's not about him. It's about you and your associates trying to extort him with behavior that you know isn't criminal. Your response?
My response is, if Mr. Gaetz really believed that, he could have kept this quiet and gone to the FBI. Instead, he exposed the Levinson family to additional grief, and he's capitalizing off that and trying to direct attention from himself. The entire time I've been involved in this, I've never once met with the Levinson family, spoken to anybody from the Levinson family, and the agreement that I had with David McGee was that our work would remain confidential and secret, specifically not to cause any additional stress to the Levinson family. Robert Levinson is a constituent of Matt Gaetz, and the congressman just made the Levinson situation worse. If he is alive, he is directly impacting his predicament right now.
In a letter that you sent, you said the FBI became aware of compromising pictures depicting Congressman Gaetz and an election official involved in a sexual orgy with underage prostitutes in Maitland, Florida, during an unrelated investigation into political corruption and public integrity in another criminal case. Subsequent information has resulted in Congressman Gaetz becoming a target of a widening investigation into serious underage sex trafficking, political corruption, public integrity, and other criminal allegations. Gaetz makes this seem like it is much more narrow than you suggest here. How confident are you in what you were told?
So you can never be confident of rumors. Those are just rumors that are, rampant in North Florida among the legal and journalist communities.
Pretty specific.
Do you have any idea what he's talking about? Because I don't.
That's what I was hearing.
I hear you, but were you surprised that you had such detailed information of a federal investigation before it was ever made public?
don't have any information on the federal investigation. Those were just rumors that were circulating.
And again, for the audience, why did you pass them along to Mr. Gates? What was your intention? You said it's a teaser. What does that mean?
I believe that Don Gates I believe that gave Don some motive to want to work with us, to try to get back Levinson. The person that gets back Levinson would get a tremendous amount of credit from the U.S. government. I was, wanted to stay anonymous and thought maybe Matt Gates could be the face of this thing. But I needed to raise a large amount of money in a short period of time. And again, Don Gates is a person that has that ability.
Gates says his father was wearing a wire. Are you concerned about what he has on you on tape?
I hope father was wearing a wire.
You hope he was wearing a wire?
Yes.
Were the federal authorities interested in your description of what was going on in terms of what you knew about the investigation?
They did ask me what I knew, and I don't know anything about the investigation. Everything I knew was based on rumor.
What do you want people to know if they are assessing the Matt Gates situation and your name is coming up as a possible mitigating factor for him? What do you want people to know?
As a possible mitigating factor for who?
Like maybe it's not so bad for Matt Gates. Maybe these guys were out to get him. Maybe that's as big a part of this as anything else.
We weren't out to get Matt Gates. We were out to rescue Bob Levinson.
And there was no attempt to extort. There was no threat. There was no demand.
There were no threats. There were no demands. The opposite. When I left, the last thing I told Don Gates was that you'll never hear from me again. I'm not a threat to you or your son. I won't talk to the press. I'm not going to say a bad word about him. I thanked him for his time. The next day, he sent me a text, re-offering to have his son contact the president. I texted back, no, thank you. And a week later, he was calling up to meet with David McGee.
Have the federal authorities told you don't leave town, asked you to surrender your passport, told you to stay in contact with them on any kind of regular basis?
No.
Do you anticipate any problems coming your way because of your dealings with the Gates family?
I do not.
Other than having to come on a show like this. Bob Kent, I understand and I appreciate you taking this opportunity. You didn't have to do it. And I'm thanking you for doing it to help give some clarity to a very confusing situation.
One thing that I think is important is that Don Gates sincerely, he knew that I was sincere and that I believe that Levinson is alive. I showed him the videos. I explained what happened in the past. And he, knowing that, they still went forward and did what they did and exposed the Levinson family.
Understood. And again, thank you for taking the opportunity.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So that's Bob Kent. Who do you believe? Him or Gates? Which may feel the bite of the law sooner? And will Matt Gates' party save him from the jaws of political fate? We're going to bring in a better mind who knows this story well. There he is, Smirkanish. Next.
It's so fun to use Realtor.com.
Ready to look for a house? It's so user-friendly, and they have so many photos.
You could walk through a house from...
Do any of you know who Levinson is?
Only if you're in that area. It's the best.
Realtor.com.
Hi guys, check out this side right here.
I guess I'll have to look it up if they don't explain it.
Get a little closer. That's insane.
I still think Matt Gates is a piece of trash. And I know it's not politically correct to refer to people that way.
Nail fungus looks nasty. Only OptiNail starts improving the appearance of fungus-damaged toenails in just 2 days. Its clinically proven formula penetrates the nail for results you can see quickly. OptiNail. Give fungus-damaged toenails a makeover.
Confidence that only comes from nailing your work-from-home setup? No, it's the confidence of someone who knows their rates before talking to a dealer. CarGurus Finance in Advance. Get personalized real rates with no impact on your credit score. With CarGurus Finance in Advance.
This is how you become the best.
Try the best, 'cause you're only a man, and a man's gotta learn to try to believe that we're gonna get strong, but you gotta hang tough to make it. For the rest, nothing's gonna happen till you got the best.
Don't get mad. Get E-Trade and take charge of your finances today.
The moment Proactive started working, I felt relieved, empowered.
Get that clear skin feeling with our 3 skincare systems. Proactive's got clinically proven ingredients to clear skin and dermatologist tested to be gentle. Subscribe today, risk-free at Proactive.com and get this free charcoal brush.
The Harry's razor is not the same. Our razors have 5 German-engineered blades designed to stay sharp, so your 8th shave is as smooth as your first. And we never upcharge you for high quality. Harry's, available in store at harrys.com.
It's time for a new season of United Shades of America. And you know we got a lot to talk about. A new season of United Shades of America with me, Debbie Quabell, premieres May 2nd at 10 on CNN.
The best for less, right now. Get more power and a heavy-duty design without a full kitchen renovation with Frigidaire Professional. Save big on Frigidaire appliances today. Shop now and save at DeWitt, Portland's appliance experts.
Want to help kids get their homework done? Well, an internet connection is a good start. But kids also need computers. And sometimes the hardest thing about homework is finding a place to do it. So why not hook community centers up with Wi-Fi for kids like us and all the amazing things we're going to learn?
Over the next 10 years, Comcast is committing $1 billion to reach 50 million low-income Americans with the tools and resources they need to be ready for anything.
I hope you're ready. Because we are.
Get the best for less, right now. Bring home innovation with GE Profile. Get up to $2,000 back on select GE Profile smarter cooking appliance packages. Plus, ask about special financing at DeWitt, Portland's appliance experts.
I'm Jeremy Diamond at the White House, and this is CNN.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Herpes L. Treat, protect, and relieve. Do more for cold sores.
My cholesterol is borderline, so I take garlic to help maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with garlic.
Now remember, as we've said from the beginning, 2 things can be true at the same time when it comes to Matt Gaetz and this scandal. He could have a legitimate investigation going on as to whether or not Bob Kent and these other men were trying to extort him, or the DOJ felt compelled to look at it because they had a congressman saying that's what it was. And at the same time, he has real problems of his own, subject to the findings of an investigation, which I have always said, and criticized politicians who said otherwise, is the basis for understanding. You have to know until the investigation comes out, you don't know. All right? Now, let's get a great mind in here. Michael Smerconish knows the law. He knows the story. In fact, he is the one who told me, you should take a look at Bob Kent. I think there's something for him to say. Smerconish, you were right. I find him credible on these points because he'd have to be crazy to put these things in writing and come on TV and stay the same and do the dance with the feds if he was trying to extort these people.
I think it was a phenomenal interview, and I think that your cross-examination did viewers a service and actually did Kent a service, because to put him through the paces is to let people really draw a determination of their own in terms of whether they find him credible. Here's what I think might be going on. Kent is caught up in a search for Robert Levinson. He has reason to believe that the former FBI agent has not passed, as the Trump administration apparently told the family, but he's alive and being held captive in Iran. And as he's working on that, Gaetz gets himself into trouble. The two have nothing to do with one another, but Kent sees opportunity in Gaetz's father being a deep pocket who could write a check. He's willing to give Matt Gaetz the glory if, in fact, Levinson comes home alive. Meanwhile, Gaetz sees opportunity in trying to conflate all of this in the minds of Americans, goes on Tucker Carlson, points a finger at the guy that you just interviewed, and hopes that people can't keep their eye, on exactly where the 3-card Monte lies. Right. But it seems to me that one really doesn't have anything to do with the other. Kent has nothing to do with whether Gaetz is involved in some sexcapades.
Right, but he does have a lot to do with whether or not you should pay attention to anything else. One thing that I'll highlight in the text from him to Gaetz, I accept your theory. I have a plan that can make his future legal and political problems go away. Is there any legal reckoning of where that is an implicit threat?
No, I don't think so. An implicit threat would be I have photographs of the young woman with the hula hoop who's naked, and I'm going to drop those unless you do X, Y, or Z. I don't see any element of extortion in this. Look, this Project Homecoming script that your guest had a hand in devising, if you and I went to Hollywood and pitched this thing, they'd say it was too fantastical.
Right.
But, there's a story here. They were trying to say, Matt Gaetz, you can be politically rescued if you're the hero in Bob Levinson. But I don't see an implied threat if Gaetz doesn't go along with it.
Now, in terms of implied threats, those photos that Matt Gaetz supposedly showed on the floor of Congress to colleagues, he got ratted out by his own. We know they weren't Democrats, because if he had shown them to Democrats, they would have ratted him out a year ago whenever he showed them. So is this the first time that we're seeing the Republicans actually go bad on one of their own? Not the QAnon lady, who, by the way, QAnon, a big thing is sex trafficking, wild ideas about sex trafficking. She's backing Gaetz, who's accused of sex trafficking. I don't know how that makes her a QAnon loyalist, but do you think that Gaetz may have pushed the bar, pushed the line too far with his own party?
I don't think anybody's going to throw him under the bus. Not within his own party.
Right?
I think they're going to stand.
That could allow them to do an end run around the
Someone-
entire investigation and get him out on an ethics violation.
Your observation is excellent. You wouldn't think that he would be crossing the aisle to show whatever photographs may or may not exist on his phone. I think Republicans are content to let it happen, but do not want to have fingerprints on it. Why, Chris? For fear of the base. They don't know. This guy's been so close to President Trump. They don't want to antagonize the base by being someone who played a role in taking down a GOP, flamethrower.
That's a fair point. And as Michael and I have both been saying from the beginning, you know nothing until that investigation gives us the facts, unless they can be independently verified. Any politician who asks for action before the investigation is playing politics. But you know what? Silence is deafening right now from Trump, the mentor for his protege, Matt Gaetz. Let's see when he weighs in, or if he weighs in. Smerkash, thank you for the tip. Thank you for the analysis. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Tonight, we're learning interesting news about COVID. That variant, first spotted in England, is now in every state across the country. We are still in a war with the virus. People are going to get sick. They're going to die, and they don't need to. However, there is encouraging news in this fight. Next.
Our Confident Forever plan is possible with a CFP professional.
A CFP professional can help you build a complete financial plan. Visit letsmakeaplan.com
Okay.
to find your CFP professional.
It doesn't happen often. Everyday people taking on the corporate special interests and winning. But now, the For the People Act stands on the brink of becoming law, ensuring accurate elections, ironclad ethics rules to crack down on political self-dealing, a ban on dark money, and finally reducing
All right.
corporate money in our politics.
What are we doing here?
To restore our faith in government. Because it's time for the people to win.
When we found out our son had autism, his future became my focus. Lavender baths calmed him, so we made a plan to turn bath time into a business. Find a Northwestern Mutual Advisor at nm.com.
Oh no, I thought I just ordered tacos.
Nope, ramen,
Burgers?
milk from the store, and
Cookies?
Wow, me hungry.
Here, I'll call some friends to help us eat.
Yeah, that could be.
Get more from your neighborhood. Hey, yo, driver.
At the UPS store, can you believe all the usual fits into one word?
My mom has been cooking since mornings. Pretend the food's bad.
Mama, this food is not good. Why do you take so long to cook if it's not good?
We're here to help your small business any way we can. Everything for small business, all in one place.
My mom has been cooking since mornings.
All right. Okay, stop.
Pretend the food.
It's good to have support. Try Skechers Arch Fit footwear with podiatrist certified arch support.
Top 10 Dog Science Fair Project.
I'm Ray. Calm yourself. Working professional now.
I wanted to start off with something a little light, so here we go.
Serious.
The Story of Late Night premieres Sunday night, May 2nd at 9.
Welcome to the greatest sports entertainment spectacular of all time. Welcome to WrestleMania.
I don't know why Snapchat's telling me that I don't see anything. What does it want me to look at?
Careers are defined, and legends will be born. Welcome to WrestleMania.
I'm Ryan Nobles on Capitol Hill, and this is CNN.
All right, listen up. More than 4 million Americans got a COVID vaccine on Saturday alone. That brings the average to more than 3 million shots a day. Nearly 19% of Americans are fully vaccinated. More than half are over 65. So we can catch up to other countries who started off right, like Chile, which has vaccinated about 20% of its population, and Israel, fully vaccinating more than half. But we also see what happens if we stray. The UK began vaccinations a week before the US, but only about 8% of the people there are fully vaccinated. With the good, there's also the bad and the ugly. Experts say the more dangerous UK variant is now in every state here. More than 15,000 cases are fueling a new surge. For the fourth straight week, COVID cases are up. The big hotspots, Michigan, Minnesota, Massachusetts. What does that mean for another surge? Unclear.
At this time, we really are in a Category 5 hurricane status with regard to the rest of the world. In terms of the United States, we're just at the beginning of this surge. We haven't even really begun to see it yet.
I don't think it's going to be a true fourth wave. I think we've probably delayed the point at which we can get this behind us for the summer, but we haven't forestalled that opportunity. I think with the rate of vaccination that we're having right now, we're vaccinating, as you said, 4 million people a day. I think that's probably going to reach 5 million people a day.
Look, here's what's clear. Rising cases are being driven by younger people.
We are learning that many outbreaks in young people are related to youth sports and extracurricular activities. According to CDC guidance, these activities should be limited. I understand that people are tired and that they are ready for this pandemic to be over, as am I. Please continue to hang in there and to continue to do the things that we know prevent the spread of the virus.
Problem is, we developed the opposite COVID culture, right? We thought the kids were less vulnerable, so we were less restrictive on them. You've seen the scenes at the beach. Venues are getting more crowded. Too many of these people are still without masks. Spring travel is likely making things worse. The TSA is seeing new records, screening more than 6 million people since Thursday. Remember, the CDC says even if you're vaccinated, travel should be avoided. New research offers added perspective on why we can't be reckless. Nearly 40,000 kids have lost a parent because of COVID. Black kids, disproportionately affected. No one, especially a child, should deal with the reality of irreparable loss. Isn't that enough for us to do our part? Do you know who is suddenly a fan of cancel culture? Rich Rumplicans. And who just got into a fight with them? Corporate America. Since when? Chris Cillizza says there is a truth that's not being told here. What is it, Cillizza?
Sorry.
Insane.
That's a different car.
That's the same car. Yeah, that's before that. Check out this irate.
America, since when? Loss. Isn't that enough for us to do our part? Do you know who is suddenly a fan of cancel culture? Rich Rumplicans. Disproportionately affected. No one, especially a child, should deal with the reality of irreparable loss. Isn't that enough for us to do our part? Do you know who is suddenly a fan of cancel culture? Rich Rumplicans. And who just got into a fight with them? Be avoided. New research offers added perspective on why we can't be reckless. Nearly 40,000 kids have lost a parent because of COVID. Black kids, disproportionately affected. No one, especially a child, should deal with the reality of irreparable loss. Isn't that enough for us to do our part? Do you know who is suddenly a fan of cancel culture? Rich Republicans. And who just got into a fight with them? Corporate America. Since when? Chris Cillizza says there is a truth that's not being told here. What is it, Cillizza? With your good looks. Next.
Let's make lots of money. You got the bride, I've got the brains. Let's make lots of
With Allstate, drivers who switch save over $700. Saving is easy when you're in good hands. Allstate, let their call to switch today.
Hi guys, check out this out right here. What'd you do?
Tell me how you did it.
Yeah, get a little closer.
That's insane.
That's a different car.
That's the same car. Yeah, that's before, that's after.
Oh, that's awesome. Make it new with New Finish. This is more than a mirror. This is a portal to your future.
Great. Come on.
Introducing the all-new Vault from Nordic Track. Total body strength. The Vault is a personal trainer in your home. But what if the Vault has no rival? Is it's a complete gym, tiny and plain sight. Step into Superband, the best trainers in the world. More resistance, giving you the exact workout you want. More strength when you want it. Open something extraordinary. Get yours only at NordicTrack.com.
My name is Charmaine. I am a mother of 6 amazing kiddos, and I just discovered Premier Protein. I have a very active family. I couldn't keep up anymore. Just because things change in your life, it doesn't mean that you can't stay on top of your health. I like the chocolate one. It actually tastes really good. It's a life changer for me.
With 30 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and nutrients to support a healthy immune system. Premier Protein. Too good to be good.
It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. This is my message to you.
Call 1-800-SANDALS.
Think about what you could think about when you're not thinking about weeds.
Aliens are real, all right. There's just too much evidence. But ghosts, not so much. I mean, where's the proof? Show me the data. Lies to me.
Kill weeds, not the lawn, with Roundup for Lawn products.
At Empower Retirement, we believe in opening doors. Let us help move you towards financial freedom for all of life's moments. We've been helping over 12 million customers create the future they want, and we're ready to open some doors for you.
A logo can do more than identify your company. It can connect in meaningful ways, energize your team, and inspire your customers. We're 4imprint, and we know your logo on the right product can create moments that matter. With 30 years of experience and thousands of products to choose from, we guarantee your order will be right the first time, on time, and for a great price. Be certain that the right moments will matter. Explore thousands of promotional products at 4imprint.com. 4imprint, for certain.
Babbel, a language learning program developed by over 100 language specialists. Babbel teaches real-life conversations in Spanish, French, Russian, and more. Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons are available as an app or online at Babbel.com.
Quote, economic blackmail to spread disinformation. That's what Senator Mitch McConnell is calling the choice by some U.S. corporations to oppose the GOP-sponsored law curbing voting access in Georgia. His comments follow MLB, the Major League Baseball, decision to pull its All-Star game out of Atlanta this summer because of the law. On the surface, looks like corporate America has fallen out of love with Republicans. But looking deeper may reveal a truth not told. TNT, because it's dynamite. Chris Saliza is here. How so?
Okay, so yes, it is clear there is some break between corporate America and the Republican Party, long considered allies. No question there's some break there. We saw it after the January 6th riots, Chris. We saw it on immigration with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not the Chamber of Commerce's version of a Republican. But let's not get too far over our skis here. Because why? Yes, Delta eventually supported the MLB pulling out, but that's only after they faced significant pressure, and it's not clear what, if anything, it's going to do to affect their corporate giving. Coke, all the corporations that condemned January 6th said they would never, their corporate PACs would never give money to members of Congress who voted on the Electoral College, who voted to object to it. My view here is that what you're getting from corporations is they're doing the PR thing. They're under public pressure. They're doing it for that reason. They're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They're doing it because they come under public pressure and they do it. Watch what they do, not what they say. And I'll combine that cliche with this one. Follow the money. Let's see how much money winds up being given or not, Chris, to these candidates. Because remember, that is the way these corporations buy their access, by their window into lawmaking, lobby. I'm skeptical that corporate America and Republicans have made a final and complete break, though I do acknowledge the Trump version of a Republican is very different than, let's say, the Paul Ryan version of a Republican, which is a lot more business friendly.
Well, when Biden, if and when President Biden tries to raise the corporate tax, the only home these businesses have is the Republicans. Mitch McConnell may be talking the talk right now, but he's not going to walk the walk of raising taxes on businesses.
And that to me is the thing. We can talk about the corporations and Republicans falling out of love with one another, and we should. It's a perfectly fine storyline. Truth not told in that, though, is rubber meets road. Follow the money. And when that happens, you're going from 21% corporate tax rate to a 28% corporate tax rate to fund Joe Biden's infrastructure plan. Trust me, corporations, bottom line oriented corporations are not going to say, well, there was that immigration thing and the January 6th stuff and MLB. No, they're going to look at their bottom line. They're going to say, wait, our tax rate is going up 7% under the one guy and the one party, and the other party is fighting that infrastructure bill and saying that they shouldn't raise the corporate tax rate. You know, I hate to be so bare-knuckled, bottom-line oriented, but that's how politics and business works. So give it a minute. Hit pause on the corporate America and the Republican Party have fallen out of favor. Let's see what it looks like in 3 months and 6 months as Joe Biden's trying to get that infrastructure bill with that big corporate tax hike included. Because Mitch McConnell's going to be on the side of corporations then, and my guess is corporations going to be on the side of Mitch McConnell.
Is there also a TNT, a truth not told, that cancel culture is bipartisan? That, yes, as is often the case, the right does a better job of beating the left with its own stick than the left does of beating the right with its stick of choice. But aren't we seeing Republicans very much in cancel culture mode right now?
Absolutely. I mean, I always thought the most ironic thing about Donald Trump putting sort of wokeness and cancel culture up front in the party, which you've seen continue even after he's not president, is no one called for more people to be canceled, more corporations to be boycotted than Donald Trump. I mean, that was his MO. He would tweet out,
I think we both
this,
got canceled
that.
by him. Didn't he come after
Right,
all of us?
exactly. Italian Chris is getting canceled. Yeah, I mean, I look, that's the thing. It's only cancel culture when it's a thing that you think should be part of the culture, right? It's all situational. It's a good call if it goes for my kid's baseball team. The umpires are biased if it goes against my kid's baseball team. Not that much changes from middle school and high school, Chris, and this is a prime example of that. It's good when it works rhetorically for you, and it's something you don't like. It's bad when it works against you politically, or something you disagree with. It's just not that common.
I mean, we just heard Senator Mike Lee, Republican Utah, going about corporations are punishing their political opponents. Although I don't really know that Republicans are really corporations' political opponents. I don't buy that. I think it's a PR thing.
Neither do I.
But then Georgia does what? It pulls its fuel discount from Delta for what they did.
That's right.
That's a Republican governor.
And Mike Lee, and by the way, Mike Lee, who you just mentioned from Utah, tweets today that MLB should have, Major League Baseball should have its antitrust exception re-examined by Congress.
That's also canceling. TNT with CC. The truth not told, TNT, because it's dynamite. So, Liz, thank you. I'll be right back.
Thank you, my friend.
Tex-Mex.
Tex-Mex.
I'm hanging on.
Don't mess up your deck with Tex-Mex. Terminex. The only way to mix it is to Terminex.
At touchofmodern.com, our expertly curated products are never ordinary, never mundane, and never in a million years what you'd expect to see or imagine you'd ever have. Check it all out at touchofmodern.com.
Dignity. This thing you can neither see nor measure, but that demands the return of small moments illness attempts to steal. Dignity demands a rapid COVID test. Because we all need an answer to move forward. Dignity demands your heart stays connected to your doctor, so you know it's beating as it should. It demands a better understanding of your glucose levels, so you can enjoy movie night. And knowing your baby is getting the nutrition he needs, no matter how you choose to feed him. Dignity is not effortless or easy. At Abbott, we fight for it every day, developing life-changing technologies. Because dignity demands it.
When traders tell us how to make Thinkorswim even better, we listen. Like Jack. He wanted a streamlined version to get access anywhere, no download necessary. And Kim. She wanted to execute a preset trade strategy in seconds. So, we gave them Thinkorswim Web. Because platforms this innovative aren't just made for traders, they're made by them. Thinkorswim Trading from TD Ameritrade.
Allergies don't have to be scary. Spraying Flonase daily stops your body from overreacting to allergens all season long. All good.
When news happens anywhere in the world, CNN is there.
The crackdown inside Belarus has significantly worsened. Do you know who these children are? Have you seen them before?
We were looking for the lost Uyghur children of Xinjiang.
What brought you to the clinic here today?
This is part of a campaign against the women of Tigray.
Another brutal day for Brazil. More than 3,000 deaths from the virus. People feel compelled to make this dark, perilous journey. China is not happy with this reporting.
It's spring cleaning time at Mattress World Northwest. Save up to 60% off select Sealy Posturepedic and the number bed by Instant Comfort. Plus get 0% financing until April 2023. Save up to 60% off Posturepedic floor models at Mattress World Northwest.
Looking for a place to dine but want a great neighborhood feel? A place for date night, girls' night out, after-work event, or just a casual family gathering? Then head to a Maltese restaurant in Mercado, serving up classic Italian comfort food, delicious pizza, handcrafted cocktails, wine and rotating brews. Call us and order takeout, or stop by our Italian-inspired Mercado for freshly prepared grab-and-go meals, grocery items, and gifts. Visit amalfisrestaurant.com.
It's spring cleaning time at Mattress World Northwest. Get Sealy Posturepedic and Beauty Rest Queen Pillow Top mattresses starting at just $5.98. Save time and money and get free delivery. Save up to 60% off select Posturepedic floor models at Mattress World Northwest.
The People versus the Klan from use in Vietnam.
Time for the big show. CNN Tonight and the big star, D. Lemon. Two big blows in two big stories. The George Floyd murder case had the chief of police saying this was wrong to the point of illegal, and what we saw was murder. And the misdirection play by Matt Gaetz, I think, blew up on this show tonight. I think Bob Kent is credible, and I don't see anything in his suggestions to the father that would qualify under any legal reckoning of extortion.
Listen, yes, with that story, I like to proceed with caution. I believe in innocent until proven guilty. We've
100%.
already established that.
But they're two different things.
So I don't know.
The investigation of what Gates
Yes.
did, you got to wait for the facts.
Right.
We don't know them.
The whole thing
But the
about